The terrifying truth about why China owns 62,000 square kilometers in Europe. For a variety of reasons, the islands and the power they provide China are concerning. In today's video, we're going to tell you about the terrifying truth about why China owns 62,000 square kilometers in Europe. Humans have yet to develop the majority of the resources in the Arctic region. Numerous countries have maintained a strong interest in the Arctic and conducted numerous scientific studies on it. China has also secured a contract to utilize the right to use an island more than 7,300 kilometers away from China in order to better inspect the Arctic region. The Svalbard Islands are what they're called. The Svalbard Islands are mostly made up of 4 big islands, with a total size of 62,000 square kilometers. Glaciers cover more than 60% of the land area, and the island is in a condition of severe day or night most of the time. These islands are the closest to the North Pole in a suitable location, and most of the island has not yet been constructed by humans. So, how significant is this island to China? What strategic significance does it have? The conditions in the Arctic have always been so harsh, and the distances so great, that competitors like the United States and Russia have been compelled to cooperate. Yet the Arctic is warming faster than any other region on the planet. Sea routes that sailors and explorers have fantasized about for ages are now becoming a reality. The potential of Arctic riches, oil, minerals, trade routes, and even fish, has sparked the imagination of people living far from the Arctic Circle. China has declared itself a near-Arctic state, a term it coined to advocate for a stronger involvement in Arctic governance. Russia has sent research missions, attempted to build mining and gas activities, and envisioned a network of shipping lines across the Arctic, a Silk Road on ice. It portrays itself as an active participant, builder, and contributor in Arctic affairs, one that has spared no effort to lend its wisdom to the development of the Arctic region. Severe weather, significant temperature, and light contrast, immense snow and ice cover in winter, and vast stretches of permafrost are among the Arctic's unique natural attributes. The area is abundant in hydrocarbons and fish stocks. The Arctic ecology is extremely sensitive and vulnerable to technological advancement. As a result, it is in desperate need of conservation, as this region is at the crossroads of the entire planet's network of natural interconnections. This region has seen the most severe consequences of climate change, and as a result of these climatic changes, the Arctic has gained enormous significance to the detriment of the environment. Located on a latitude of between 74 degrees to 82 degrees north, Svalbard is the very definition of remote. The remote Norwegian islands are a tourist draw for adventurers, wildlife lovers, and the curious. Whether it's exploring the Russian settlements or taking in the spectacular scenery of the Arctic desert, there's plenty on offer here. Glaciers encompass more than half of Svalbard. There are about 2,100 glaciers of varying sizes here, and ice covers nearly 60% of the total area. The greatest glaciers are known as ice caps, and they're mostly found on Svalbard's eastern side. Glaciers can serve as massive climatic archives. More and more snow falls on the glacier over time. As new snow falls on top, it sinks deeper and deeper into the glacier. When ice cores are drilled into a glacier, they form a timeline, with the bottom being the oldest and the top being the youngest. Researchers may investigate how the climate has changed over the glacier's existence by analyzing air bubbles and particles in the ice. Several of the glaciers in Svalbard are surging glaciers, which means that the glacier front can move many meters per day before stopping and melting. Surging glaciers can only be found in Svalbard, Arctic Canada's islands, and Alaska. Little is known about what causes such surges and how long it takes between active phases, but the resting period in Svalbard appears to last between 30 and 500 years. When discussing Arctic Ocean security, particularly in the context of NATO and Russia, Greenland and Iceland are frequently mentioned. Svalbard, a non-militarized Norwegian archipelago 500 nautical miles off Norway's northern shore, should not be overlooked, especially given how active Russia and China are in that isolated area. Svalbard, our Norwegian Arctic archipelago, is considered as a geopolitical and economic bridgehead not only for Moscow, but also for China. Svalbard, like its high-latitude neighbors Greenland, Iceland, and the Faroe Islands, appears to be on China's radar, yet it currently identifies itself as a near-Arctic state and seeks to construct a polar Silk Road. With the region warming 3 times faster than the rest of the world, decreasing ice flows are creating new economic opportunities and maritime routes, albeit some are more speculative than practical. Everyone is attempting to get a foot in the door with new fishing areas and better access to potential resources, such as oil and gas reserves. A massive piece of privately owned land in Norway's Svalbard archipelago has gone on sale, leading to speculation that Chinese buyers could compete for the rare Arctic property. China has expressed an interest in the resources and shipping lanes of the Arctic, said Willy Ostrang, president of the Norwegian Scientific Academy for Polar Research. This land would provide a permanent foothold. This week marks the 100th anniversary of the Svalbard Treaty signing in 1920. This treaty handed Norway sovereignty over these islands as part of the many peace treaties that followed World War I. Svalbard is located far north of the Arctic Circle. Its capital and largest city is Longyearbyen. It has a population of 211 people. Svalbard also contains Ny-Ålesund, the world's northernmost permanently inhabited location. Although Norway was granted sovereignty, the conditions of the Svalbard Treaty granted non-discriminatory access to the island's fishing, hunting, and natural resources to any of the treaty's signatories. Major nations such as Russia, the United States, the United Kingdom, and China were among those represented, as were countries far from the Arctic such as Saudi Arabia, South Africa, and even Afghanistan. In total, 46 countries have equal access to Svalbard's natural resources, even with the rights granted to treaty signatories. The Norwegian government is unequivocal about the island's status. Today, Norwegian sovereignty is undisputed, and Svalbard is Norwegian just as much as any region on the mainland. Even so, both Russia and China have taken advantage of their access to Svalbard. At the height of the Cold War, Russians accounted for 2/3 of Svalbard's population, totaling 2,000 people in the 1960s, a number that has declined to under 500 today. As a signatory of the Svalbard Treaty, China is allowed to conduct scientific research on Svalbard and has done so since 2004 at its Arctic Yellow River Station located in Ny-Ålesund. This science center is one of 8 scientific research stations in the Arctic operated by China. Svalbard's military significance is restricted in peacetime due to the constraints imposed on the territory by the Svalbard Treaty, which demilitarized the islands. Article 9 of the Svalbard Treaty states, "Subject to the rights and duties resulted from the admission of Norway to the League of Nations. Norway undertakes not to create, nor to allow the establishment of any naval base in the territories specified in Article 1, and not to construct any fortification in the said territories, which may never be used for warlike purposes." The island's non-militarized status is constantly contested. Russia and China are both engaged in Svalbard, and the US cannot afford to be left out. According to a recent Arctic security report from the Heritage Foundation, US military planners should better recognize the geostrategic importance of Svalbard's location and consider Svalbard as one of the 3 Arctic forward operating bases in the defense of the North American continent during the time of war, the other 2 being Greenland and Iceland. Even though Svalbard is currently demilitarized, it cannot pretend that in the event of a major outbreak of conflict in the Arctic region, that the archipelago would not be front and center in any military campaign. Natural resources have emerged as a major driver of increased interest in the Arctic. With the melting of the Arctic ice cap, the easily available natural resources and their ease of access are appealing for all of the world's major countries, including China. The energy resources have enormous potential, but harsh climatic conditions and technological impediments impede their full usage for the benefit of the parties involved. That's all. Thank you for watching. Do not forget to like and subscribe to our channel and ring the bell icon to get more videos.